Hey there, true crime enthusiasts. Buckle up, because today we're diving deep into a twisted tale that'll send shivers down your spine. Ever wondered about the guy who put an end to the reign of terror by the infamous Jeffrey Dahmer? Well, stick around, because I've got the lowdown on Christopher Scarver, the man who made sure Dahmer met his maker behind bars. So, let me throw some questions at you. Ever imagine what it's like to be the one to take down a real-life monster? What if your dad was the guy who dealt the final blow to the Milwaukee cannibal, Jeffrey Dahmer? Yeah, it's a crazy story that sounds like it's ripped straight from a Hollywood script. But folks, this is as real as it gets. Now picture this. I was just a curious kid flipping through channels on TV when, boom! There it was, the breaking news that my old man, Christopher Scarver, took down Dahmer. Yeah, wild, right? But that's not where the story ends. It's where it gets even crazier. You've probably heard Dahmer's gruesome tale a million times, but let's shift the focus. It's not just about Dahmer, it's about the people who tried to stop him in his tracks. Neighbors, witnesses, and Scarver all trying to put an end to the nightmare while the Milwaukee police turned a blind eye. Imagine the frustration and desperation in their shoes. Now, Dahmer's life in prison seemed like a never-ending sentence, but it took just 2 years for someone to put an end to it. Scarver stepped up, delivering the blow that many considered a blessing. But why did he do it? What was Scarver's breaking point? Stick around, we're getting there. Christopher J. Scarver Sr., born in 1969 in Milwaukee, got into trouble back in the 1990s. Back then, he was working in a training program with a guy named Steve Lohman. Scarver had dropped out of high school but learned carpentry at the Wisconsin Conservation Corps work program. After finishing the program, he thought he'd get a full-time job as promised by his supervisor, Edward Patz. But things didn't work out, and Patz got fired before keeping his promise. Scarver was pretty upset about not getting the job he was hoping for. He went back to the center to confront Patz about it. By this time, Scarver had been smoking marijuana for a while and drinking a lot. He also started feeling like a voice in his head was telling him he was the chosen one. On June 1st, 1990, Scarver went back to the center to talk to Patz. But instead he found Steve Lohman, who had taken Patz's place, and another guy named John Fan, holding Lohman at gunpoint. Scarver demanded money, and when he only got $15, he shot Lohman in the head. Even though Lohman was already lifeless, Scarver shot him 2 more times. Fan, trying to save Lohman's life, gave Scarver $3,000 and a credit card to make him go away. The police quickly caught Scarver with the money, gun, and credit card from the attack. He was arrested and later found guilty of killing Lohman. Scarver got a life sentence, and he admitted he knew he did something wrong but couldn't figure out why he snapped. In 1992, Scarver was sent to the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. At the time of the incident, he had just found out he was going to be a father for the first time. Unfortunately, he had been kicked out of his family home by his mother, so Scarver's life took a wrong turn after a mix of broken promises, frustration, and personal struggles. His actions that day not only cost a man his life, but also led to Scarver serving a life sentence in prison. You know, Scarver was no saint. He had his issues, dropped out of high school, and ended up in prison for a different crime. Frustration, broken promises, and the weight of the world on his shoulders, that's the backdrop. It's like Scarver's life was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Imagine this. Scarver, fueled by a mix of anger and disappointment, confronts his supervisor about a broken promise. A gun, a demand for money, and suddenly, he's spiraling into a crime that sets the stage for what's to come. It's like a tragic domino effect. Fast forward to that fateful day in prison. Scarver, assigned to a work detail, left unattended with 2 other inmates, cleaning a restroom. Now we all know the saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play. But in this case, things took a dark turn. Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee cannibal, known for heinous acts against at least 17 lives. Scarver, with no direct interaction with Dahmer, decides to keep his distance from the twisted criminal. Dahmer, in prison, had a guard with him 24/7, because other inmates saw him as a prime target. The man played with ketchup to mimic blood. It's like a horror movie come to life. Now, here's where it gets intriguing. Dahmer, the once unrepentant serial slayer, turns born-again Christian in his last months, baptized and all, claiming a change of heart. But did he really? Was it genuine or just a desperate attempt to find salvation behind bars? I can't help but wonder. So, picture this. Scarver, a guy with his own demons dealing with schizophrenia, finds himself in a situation with Dahmer, a guy who taunts, plays up his cannibal persona, and Scarver, who's just had enough. Enough of the pranks, the mind games, and maybe, just maybe, he saw Dahmer's transformation as a mockery of the pain he caused. Now Scarver gets international attention for delivering justice to Dahmer. He spills the beans in interviews saying, "I needed some guidance." It's like Scarver's inner turmoil met the chaos of Dahmer's twisted mind, resulting in a lethal clash. Christopher Scarver made big news when, on November 28, 1994, he attacked Jeffrey Dahmer in a Wisconsin prison, leading to Dahmer's death. Scarver, who was 25 at the time, was given a job to clean a restroom with 2 other inmates. The guards left them alone, and that's when things took a dark turn. Scarver shared that when he was younger, he didn't really know what Jeffrey Dahmer did, but he had heard the name a lot. Dahmer was known for doing really bad things. Scarver explained in an interview that he saw Dahmer as a guy who hurt a lot of people, especially Black and Hispanic folks. Dahmer's victims were often people of color, and Scarver thought it was messed up. Scarver believed that Dahmer deserved what happened to him. Scarver shared that when they were left alone to clean the restroom, he attacked Dahmer. Scarver mentioned that Dahmer put his head down, and Scarver did what he did. It's important to note that Dahmer had falsely accused 2 Black men of committing his crimes initially, leading the police on a wild chase. Some people think Scarver attacked Dahmer because of this, but the official story from detectives says it wasn't about race. Growing up, Scarver heard a lot about Jeffrey Dahmer, and the name was everywhere. Dahmer did some really bad things, especially to people who looked like Scarver. Scarver believed that Dahmer got what he deserved, and that's why he attacked him in prison. Even though Dahmer had accused Black men of his crimes, the detectives officially said that Scarver's attack wasn't because of race. So Scarver's actions were a reaction to what he saw as justice for the bad things Dahmer did, especially to people of color. While Dahmer's accusations initially caused confusion, Scarver's attack was not officially labeled as a racially motivated crime by the detectives. But here's the kicker. Did Dahmer deserve a second chance at redemption? Scarver claims he crossed the line with prisoners, staff, and everyone around. Dahmer, the master of mind games, taunting and joking, but was he really seeking salvation or just playing a sick game? I'm not so sure. Now, cut to Scarver's life post-Dahmer. He's in Centennial Correctional Facility, Colorado, diagnosed with schizophrenia. A guy turned poet, religious as ever, cranking out books like Godseed and The Child Left Behind. And hey, he even reconnected with his old man, the 2 exchanging letters, continuing to write their own stories. Now, before I wrap this up, let me drop a bombshell. Should Scarver be hailed as a hero or condemned as a killer? Was it justice served or a crime avenged? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because, let's face it, this story is as twisted as they come, and the debate is far from over. So there you have it, folks. The wild tale of Christopher Scarver, the man who closed the chapter on Dahmer. If you want more jaw-dropping stories like this, hit that subscribe button and join the conversation. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep those minds buzzing.